Okay, I've been having a play today. Had a couple of ideas and put those ideas down here really. Don't get excited about that, guys. It's I've just cleaned the bench with it. So what we've got is a piece of graphite there. It's nice and clean. I've cleaned it off. That's that piece of magnesium. Basically what's happening is my work now is I'm going to continue work in 3 different areas: rechargeable batteries, my self-regenerating batteries, and solid state work. There's going to be a few changes. I've been in the past I've used this stuff. Fantastic material, no two ways about that. I ended up calling these my carbon nanowires, because basically what you've got there are carbon nanowires. And I always wondered why this was so good. You've got a massive surface area there, absolutely massive, and it is good stuff. And it's not on the back burner, it's still around, so I will be using that again. But I started looking at graph oil as the collector plate as opposed to that. So I've done a bit of work with graph oil, and the only reason for that is I've started producing graphenes and graphene oxides and using them. So you know, obviously I started using graph oil. Now also I've made this graphene that I think is graphene from activated carbon. Basically, if I can find some activated carbon, oh yeah, that stuff, you know, that you put in fish tanks for filtering and stuff like that. Activated carbon. I've produced graphene from it. Now the first batch, which I've got here, is in a cake form, and I've found that I can do almost anything I want to do with that, the same as you would with graphene. You know, I've had a play. This is my little piece of card that you've seen before, and I've just splodged bits here and bits there, and that patch there is actually in a binder. That piece there is in a binder. Not certain whether we're going to get any sense out of it right this minute, because you know what these things are like. We're on conductivity at the moment, and just to prove that, there we go. Move these bits out of the way for the moment, and there we go. Now that's 1/2 centimetre, and it's saying 39 ohms, so it's quite conductive even in a binder, and it's, you know, flexible as well. These bits, I mean, there's no binder in these. In fact, that bit I haven't even got to polish it yet, but if I do that now, and that's what we get. Look, second attempt. Not a lot. Third attempt, even less. So okay, and there we go. 22 ohms on that piece there. There's no binder in that, but you know, that's got binder in it. That one hasn't, and that one will quite readily flake off. You will get the flakes off that. There you go. And that one you won't, because it's got a binder in it. That piece there I scratched off because it hadn't dried, and I tried too soon on that, but there you go. And you're getting quite low resistance readings. I mean, that's very low, 10 ohms. So put it on a 200 ohm scale, try that bit again, and you've got 13 ohms, 6 ohms. So extremely conductive. I'm really pleased with that stuff. And what I've done here is I've bonded the same material to a piece of acetate, and I actually use this today as my collector plate instead of the graphite. So that's where I'm coming from with this. So the activated carbon graphene is my new material, my new graphene. I'm going to continue work with it, obviously, and develop it. But what I'm going to do, as I say, this is a three-way thing now. I'm going to continue work on solid state stuff. I'm going to continue work on my self-regenerating stuff and rechargeable batteries, because there are crossover points where you think, that might just work in that as well. So, you know, it's hard work, you know, it's a lot of time and effort, but, you know, I'm going to continue the work on the three, and that's all there is to it. So that's where I'm coming from at the moment. I just had a couple of ideas today, with a piece of carbon again, graphite obviously, and I just thought, let's have a little bash at that, you know. So I did. I'll show the conductivity on that. Basically there's a lot of binder in one and not much binder in the other one, and obviously, I mean, it's, you know, it's quite flexible and all the rest of it, you know, but I'll show that in a minute. Right, so this and a piece of magnesium, we are connected up to this meter. Get this right in a minute, eh? So we are connected up to the motors as well. What I did basically, I just had an idea with a mix, and there it is. Quite messy, I know, but what you can actually do with this stuff is form it. It's like a paste. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of that, put it on there, and what I'm going to do, I'll disconnect those for a minute, is press that paste out. There's no separator as such. Well, not as such, there's no separator. So that's the material in there then. I guess it'd be a good idea to put a clamp on that. So that's quite thin now. And do we have a voltage? Yes, we do. Okay. Is there any immediate current? Yeah, a little bit, look. But again, this is rechargeable. I've got 4.7 volts charging that at the moment. What I wanted was a 2-volt cell. It's ended up as a it's 2.5, so that was just by the by really. So now we've got usable current with a little bit of a charge. Now it's dropping quite quickly. I mean, I haven't perfected this at all. I've just had a little play, knocked it together, and you know, that's what it is. It's a first attempt. But that will also recover fairly quickly to its, well, it should go to 2.5 volts. I mean, we don't want to sit here waiting for that, but it will go to 2.5 volts, and that's all there is to it. So give it another charge. This really is kind of, I'm working on this material for a solid state battery. So there we go. Now, as I say, it's dropping fairly quickly because I haven't had any time with this really to sort of get it anywhere near perfection. But piece of carbon, no separator, piece of magnesium, and that material there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that run down. Have a little look, see what the bounce back is, i.e. the recovery. Now I do know that if I just leave that, there is recoverable energy that will redevelop itself in the way of a self-regenerating cell. Got disturbed there, lost my train of thought. Don't really know where I was, but we'll just give that another little bit of a charge. Won't take long. And there's your voltage, and there's your current. And it's quite stable, it's quite quick. And if I run that down below a volt, do the same again. It's not a bad material. So as I say, part of my solid state work, there's going to be a crossover somewhere, don't know where yet, don't know how. A little bit of a charge. There you go, 2.5 volts, only wanted 2. That should drop now to 2.5. So there we go again. Now that'll go up, I know that. It go up to a point, stabilise, and then start dropping down again. It's been doing that all day really. If I stop at half a volt, and we'll see what happens. So that's on the 2000 millivolt scale. And you can see what's happening. It's just recovering as you would expect a cell to do. I'll just leave that for a while. This is quite dry. as a material. You can form it, as I said. It's a paste, well, like a putty really, just like putty. Not a lot of moisture content in there. It's kind of a, apart from the other materials that's in there, it's kind of a deep eutectic solvent. But to be honest, what would I call it? Type 1, 2, 3 or 4? I don't know. Leave that one with me. There's quite a bit going on there, actually. Quite a bit going on. So it's recovering, but even if it doesn't, I mean, obviously that was a bit early, but you know, it's still rechargeable. Oh. And there you go. Kind of a solid state, self-regenerating and rechargeable battery. So that's that bit. I'll put that back in there. Yeah, this stuff, quite pleased with this actually. I've scratched it off because of you can probably see where I've scratched it off, just really to try the binder, you know. It's working well, it's there. Don't know if we can get a decent test out of this conduction wise, maybe that, or even resistance wise, because I have scratched it like mad. And as I say, I did use this, I made a battery with this today as opposed to the, well, for a collector instead of that graphite. And to all intents and purposes, they are a different shade of silver, shall we say, silvery grey. We'll give it a bash, eh? Oh, so we're on resistance. Okay. Depends on where you are on the material. There's no real work being done on this. I've just basically slapped a bit of that material there into a binder, and that is very crystally. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there are crystals in there forming. Don't know why, don't know what they are, but very crystalline. So I mean, that's the first batch, you know, this is the first time on this sheet in binder, so Unfortunately, I'm trying this on areas where I've scratched it off. Oh dear. Yeah, so it's all good. It's not, you know. And that's in your binder. So, on a piece of acetate, and that's on a piece of cardboard, and that's in a binder. So there you go. So that's dropped a little bit. One of the things I wanted to show with this stuff, just give that another charge again. Like that. Run it once more. Now that voltage will go up. Now with just a quick charge on that. I've had as much as 3 volts out of this, but now we know it's going to recover on its own, but I'm doing this for a reason at the moment. A, to show the recovery on a partial discharge. But the main thing, this is magnesium. Now, if I wipe that off, there is no degradation on that magnesium at all. no black, nothing. There is a fine coating on there which comes off quite easily, but it does not stop that from working. So there's no separator, as I said. Very little in the way of material on there now. In fact, almost nothing in material. You know, absolutely nothing. Yep. In fact, the less material that's on there, the better it performs. So that's it then. That's what I've been playing with today. And it is very late and I need to wash up and go. So I hope that was enjoyable, informative, whatever. Speak to you soon.